Alrighty, so in this video, I'm going to be breaking down a God tier exercise that you can be doing to grow some massive rear delts. So the biggest concept to take away from this exercise that I'm going to go over, which is a rear delt row or pull, the biggest takeaway is that it is just so much better than doing straight arm when we're trying to maximize stimulus on the rear delts. And the biggest reason why this is the case is that the load that you can use will be significantly heavier. Compare doing a rear delt fly with a straight arm. The dumbbell weight you're going to be able to use, max 20, 25s, 30s maybe. Compared to that, if you're doing like a chest supported row with dumbbells and you're allowing that elbow to bend, you're going to be able to row a shit ton more. And it won't be anything you could do like a one-arm row with, but the weight is relative to the exercise. But specifically for this variation for rear delt pulling, if we can do this movement with the bent elbow, you're going to be able to use more load. And then with that more load, equals more tension if you're able to execute this movement correctly. And then the second takeaway for this video for doing a rear delt pull and why it's better is the angled arm, which I'll get into in a second here, is so much better to train the rear delt compared to a straight arm that you might see in a reverse pec deck. The orientation of the rear delts to optimally pull on that upper arm is not straight out to the side, more at an arm angle that'll be dependent on you specifically, but it'll be around 45 degrees. And not to say that the straight arm reverse pec deck will not give you a stimulus for your rear delts, but compared to what these pulls will do, won't even compare to what you're going to be able to feel when you do these. So how we're going to assess the range of motion to do, when you're looking at your range of motion, what we're looking for is when you're pulling your arm back, we want to find the furthest point of arm extension that you're going to be able to reach before your shoulder starts to roll forward. And this position will get you as far into that contraction that your rear delt can perform. And this will be dictated by the arm path and the angle from how far away we're going to keep your arm from your torso. So I'll flip it to behind you, and it's going to be about 45 degrees, but this is where you probably want a partner to help you. You're going to pull your arm back and find where you can reach that furthest point of shoulder extension. And when you see the video it demonstrates that I'm doing, it'll start with that top straight arm out to the side position, which a reverse pec deck would do. And you can see how that range of motion of where I can pull my arm back compared to pulling my arm with my elbow all the way down to my side and then somewhere about in that 45 degrees range. You can see how much further I'm able to get my arm into shoulder extension. So that's the arm path that I'm going to want to follow when I'm doing this exercise. So some cues to do this exercise is, for one, you want to create tension in your traps, but don't fully retract your shoulder blades and try and squeeze them together like you would do finish some rows. You can create some tension in your traps, but again, don't fully retract them. Once you have that tension, the only movement that's happening in this exercise is going to happen at your arms. So as your arms are coming out in front of you and then you're pulling them back, your traps are going to stay engaged and it's going to hold the shoulder blades in place, but you want to make sure that the shoulder blades are remaining stationary to keep other muscles out of the equation for this movement, which isn't inherently bad. But if we are specifically trying to just nail your rear delts, we want to keep those shoulder blades stationary. Some other notes for when you're doing this exercise is that the wrist angle should align with the arm angle that you're deciding to do. So if you're using a dumbbell or a handle that's directly attached to a cable, this isn't an issue as they move freely. But if you're going to use an attachment that has dual hands that attaches to a cable, you want to find the grip where it gives you that pronation so that wrist gets you close to that same arm angle as your upper arm. And then if you are choosing to use that dual handle attachment, the width of the grip will correlate to your structure and just how wide of a motherfucker you are. So if you are a big ass dude, let me restart. When you're picking an attachment, do not use the V-bar or a super close grip because no one is that narrow. You're going to want to pick something that at least gives you a little bit of distance between. But the wider and bigger of a dude or girl, I guess you are, the further and further that grip, those two handles need to be away from each other. And then if you're going to use a dumbbell for this variation, you want to pick a bench height where that upper arm is parallel to the ground. And what this will do is make the resistance in that fully shortened position for the rear delts the hardest. And if we have it set up correctly, those rear delts are going to be squeezing like absolute motherfuckers, and we'll just make them the main bearer of the load. Pretty short and sweet. if you can get this set up and you have either been one just doing straight arm flies or the reverse pec deck, this will probably be a completely new stimulus for you, and your rear delts will just get hit so much harder than they ever hit in the past before. So this is the first video of the series where I'm just going to break down specific exercises that have very specific goals to train specific muscles. If you're interested in anything else I have made in the name of just getting you fucking yacked, you can head to my website at evolutionaryaesthetics.com. On my website, I've got a link to subscribe to the weekly newsletter I put out, which covers a specific exercise of the week, goes into other topics, and then it goes hand in hand with the progression programming that I put out for anybody to follow. And it's just specific programming with another video breakdown of how to execute it, and then also execution videos for all the movements within it. I've also got my Potent Priorities ebook that's on there, and it gives you 4 foundations that literally every single person should be following if achieving their peak physique is their goal. It shows you, lays everything out super simply, but then as you nail the foundations, you can get more psychotic about how in depth you want your plan, and it's all dependent on what you want to get out of these priorities. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, share this with someone who's got some tiny fucking rear delts and needs to grow, and we'll see each other in the next video.